I'm the son of the Speed Lord. Oh,
And we are back. I think last week we just wrapped up a little early. Time for another episode of Speed Lords, the weekly podcast in which myself and my glorious compadre Miipmoto go over some of the latest happenings in the Speed Duel format. Now, right after I uploaded the most recent Speed Lords, I slipped and fell, and I just woke up. I'm sure I was only out for like 5 or 10 minutes, but anything interesting happen in the meantime?
Oh no, nothing at all's happened. It's been fine. Orcust is still the best deck in TCG.
Yep.
You know.
Well, that's how I know you're lying, because Orcust was never the best deck. It was, but no one who played it felt that way.
It was the last time we recorded Speed Lords.
Yeah, wow.
Or close to.
It's been almost 2 years
ago?
right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Almost 2 years since we recorded a Speed Lords, but in our defense, one, the videos did not do very well, and two, nothing's happened. Speed Duels has been
products.
Yeah, an absolute barren wasteland of anything interesting since we last took to the microphones, and even then it wasn't great. I think our last 2 episodes are just like, please can someone stop SND, followed by please can someone stop Monarch. And that's unfortunate, because in the meantime, the 2 products that have released, the Bakura / Merrick Precon and the Speed Duel Battle City box, have really fixed the metagame. There's stuff you could do now.
Not like all the way, but the meta's in a lot healthier of a place than it had been for most of 2019.
Yeah.
And most of 2020, very honestly, since the Battle City box didn't come out until December, and the Bakura Merrick decks in a vacuum are really just more of the same design pattern they've been doing forever, of release one really good over-centralizing skill in the new product that adds like a deck.
Yeah, and I almost don't want to make this video, because I feel like we are inviting chaos, right? Like, our episodes are like the 1 or 2 deck starter format where everyone was trying to build around that idiotic Blue Eyes deck. We had Moth, we had SND. I mean, just a bunch of frustrating sets, and I am afraid that offering our insight into the new metagame will cause another shift in which something untested made it into the GX box, and there's going to be another 1-deck format, and it's going to be like Shining Flare Wingman Turbo, and we're going to have to sit in it for 6 years until they print the next product.
I hope it's less the case, given the sort of trend that they've gone towards with Battle City box. I feel like that's less possible now. It still could happen, don't get me wrong, but I think it's a lot less likely than if we'd done this a year ago.
Right. Well, I guess let's bring things back full circle. Welcome everyone to the Speed Lords podcast, where we talk about the latest happenings in Speed Duels. I am MBT, as you all know, and this is Miipmoto27. Would you like to say something about yourself?
I don't really play Speed Duels anymore, but who does?
Hell yeah.
I mean, I guess there actually are people that play it now, but for a long time that was not the case. I would like to get back into it, and I'm definitely excited about the real reason that we're here today, which is the GX Duel Academy box, or Speed Duel GX Duel Academy box, whatever they're calling it.
The GX
sequel
box
to the Battle City box.
Speed Duel Academy 2.
Box.
Battle City 3.
Exactly. Super Battle City Boogaloo.
Exact. Marvel versus Battle City 3, and everyone's going to play Sentinel week 1. So, just to get you all caught up, the last time we were here, we were whining about Moth.
Moth and
Serpent Knight.
You were still clinging on to the idea of Serpent Knight, but Moth pretty strictly power grouped it.
I can freely admit at this point that was cope. Then following that, we had a format of inner conflict decks, pretty much controlling everything after the Merrick Bakura deck came out. And then, like a light at the end of the tunnel, we were gifted, I think, November of 2020. Oh, God.
Or December even, I think. It was really, really late in the year.
The Speed Duel Battle City box. The Speed Duel Battle City box remains, I think, my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh product ever. It's 200 cards, 8 precons, and then a bunch of extra stuff built to be drafted or played sealed with friends. It is meant to represent the duels that happen in the Battle City arc of Yu-Gi-Oh! And not only is it a lot of fun, it's got a lot of really sweet stuff for GOAT players in terms of staples and very sparkly reprints. It's got a lot of fun stuff for limited players, insofar as it's the first limited product since like Battle Pack 3. And it's got a lot of stuff for constructed too.
Years ago. Yeah, no, it completely upended the speed duel meta. Because I think the holding pattern, like you were saying before, for speed duels was every 3 to 6 months they would release a pair of starter decks, and in those pair of starter decks would be a bunch of terrible cards, and then like 2 good main deck cards and 1 really good skill that would then become the skill. Right?
Yeah. I mean, oh my god, do you remember they released a precon with a skill that summons Perfectly Ultimate Great Moth using normal monsters, and the deck had like 12 normal monster insects in it with like 800 attack? It was like, yeah, knock yourself out.
And it was in the same exact deck as a skill that also summoned Perfectly Ultimate Great Moth, not doing that.
What an awful...
using the only good card in that deck, which was Parasite Paranoid.
Oh, no. Parasite Paranoid was not in that deck.
Oh, is it not?
It was in a pack.
Was it in one of the booster sets? Oh god, it was in the booster set.
And it gets bought out constantly. Every 4 weeks, that card is $70. And then everyone remembers that it actually doesn't matter. There's no reason to buy out an Ultra that is in the 4th best speed duel deck. You know, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, but the point is that basically the meta past like that very early stage when the gameplay was a little rough, but at least you had like 3 or 4 decks that could play, was just sort of a never-ending cycle of there being a good deck because of how the skills worked. It was just whatever the best generic skill is, and then you just sort of put it in a whatever good stuff shell you want, and that was how the game played.
And usually the good stuff shell was Warriors. Just pretty miserable. But happy to report that BCB resolved a lot of that. And not only did it resolve a lot of that, it sold really, really well, which is uncharacteristic for a Speed Duel product. Every one of those Speed Duel packs rotting on the shelves before the Jake Paul apocalypse. Every one of those decks, I mean, I could go to Target today and find the Rex versus Weevil structure. But those Speed Duel boxes, super difficult to find in stores, now marked up well beyond MSRP. I mean... And Konami took note. Not only were the boxes flying off the shelves at the extravaganzas they hosted, Speed Duels went from a joke of a side event that would struggle to fire 5 or 6 4-mans over the course of a weekend to rivaling Duel Links in terms of player base, with upwards of 30 or 40 events in some NA extravaganzas. And they issued a survey asking people what they wanted for Speed Duel product. Overwhelmingly, the result was another Battle City box.
And I think that there's just a lot to like about the product, between it introducing multiple new different playstyles and also actually adding the generic like staples that the format needed to not just be the horrific, just like twiddling your thumbs until one player decks out kind of gameplay that you were seeing before. I just think that the addition of things like Cosmic Cyclone, Breaker, like those cards on their own are huge for Speed Duels. And you even have other stuff like what?
Book of Moon.
Book of Moon, that's really good.
Dark Ruler Hades, huge inclusion.
Yeah, for sure. I think they just generally added a lot of really nice generics. Well, that was the thing, is they did have things like Floodgate Trap Hole or whatever, Zoma the Spirit, but they didn't have any good answers for those cards. Right. Yeah. You had like Nightbeam or Twister, which were not particularly great answers.
We're in a position now where like certainly Spell and Trap Destruction is much better than anything else in the format, but the format also has like Waking the Dragon. Like you can't just be firing off like Cosmics and Nightbeams like nobody's business. You have to be super deliberate. And like I like it. I like it a lot. I think the gameplay is great.
Sure. Yeah, I think it's finally gotten to the point where the back row isn't so oppressive that you can't really get past it, even with removal, but then the removal's not so oppressive that you're not just blowing out anyone who wants to attempt to use back row, right?
Right.
Between like the costs and conditions and whatever. Like they don't MST's not in the format, right?
Oh, thank God it is not in the format.
Yeah, right. And that's the thing, right? Is you don't have something quite just like MST or God forbid like Heavy Storm or whatever going back to like GOAT format, right?
Or going back
like,
to Duel Links, there's no Hey True Nade.
Yeah, like you don't have any just like blanket back row wipes. And even the targeted stuff has some kind of cost or condition associated, even if it's not super, super relevant. It's still there, and I think that adds like a layer of choice to the deck building of like, do I want to be, how many Cosmic Cyclones and Night Beams or whatever do I want to be main decking and side decking and whatnot, which I think is something that you really don't get in other formats of Yu-Gi-Oh!
For sure. I guess we should just real quick go through the meta as it currently stands. While there are probably about 10 or 15 strategies that have all performed at the online tournaments that have been held by Konami and by individuals, I mean, 4 of them really stand out among the rest. The top, of course, is Icy Monarch, that uses the skill Inner Conflict printed in the Merrick Bakura structure in order to steal opponents' monsters and then tribute them off for crazy-ass monarchs. And this comes in a couple of varieties. You can be playing warriors, you can be playing darks with Allure of Darkness. Your monarch of choice can be Grandmarg, Kaiser Glider, Jinzo, but my personal favorite is Dark Ruler Hades because it has 50 more attack.
Yeah, and it can also get over like flip monsters, right?
Right.
And just any floater.
Recruiters.
I believe it just negates the effect of monsters it destroys by battle in the graveyard that turn. So
although before you play a tournament, figure out how it works with Zoma, because that changes every event.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it at least gets past things like, say, Apprentice Magician in the mirror, right? Which is nice.
Yeah. And then right following that is, unfortunately, Moth is still playable.
Yeah.
It's different than it's been in the past. It is a dark deck, usually, playing Allure of Darkness to try and find Parasite Paranoid. And then the rest is like dark staples, Breaker the Magical Warriors. It's playing Newdoria. It plays Santa Claus to give your opponent a face-up monster sometimes. Very silly deck.
It's definitely a lot different than how it was before. Since before it was just, the current skill you ran in Warrior. Whereas now, Warrior has completely diverted off into a different deck.
Yeah.
And the Moth deck is a lot more focused on actually turboing Moth instead of it just sort of being something you toss in your deck because it's the best skill in the format, so why not, right?
Mm-hmm. And then after that is, I guess, Solidarity Forever, baby. The Union makes us strong, and Union Combination is in my opinion, the most fun you can have playing Speed Duel right now. This is a Battle City box original. Pretty much all the cards are located in it. It's Kaiba's XYZ Dragon Cannon deck. It's so funny. I mean,
the skill basically turns it into ABC Dragon Buster, but
yep.
the summoning method, right? But lets you then bring out XYZ Dragon Cannon, which is no ABC Dragon Buster.
It is no ABC Dragon Buster, but the format's not really ready for ABC. It does play Union Hanger, which is funny because if you've ever read the XYZ monsters, they're terrible. One is a normal, so you can't ever search it with Union Hanger. One can only be equipped to the normal, so you can't ever search it with Union Hanger. You basically have to exactly search the dragon and then exactly equip Z-Metal Tank. And still, the deck is top 3, if not top 1. I mean, it is a crazy deck.
I think it's buoyed by the fact that, deck sizes are relatively small. It's one of the only decks in the format, weirdly enough, to TCG players that actually can leverage Foolish Burial, and you don't even really run the full 3 copies, if any,
no,
at
you
this
run
point.
2
but
usually.
It still can leverage Foolish Burial to help, get some of the bad pieces like X Headcanon into the graveyard, because you don't really want to draw X Headcanon that often, so...
And notably, this deck has access to an infinite. XYZ Dragon Cannon can destroy one card on your opponent's side of the field by discarding a card from your hand not once per turn. And Knight Assailant is not only legal in speed duels, it's legal at 3. So if you foolish a Knight Assailant, then cycle one from your hand, then add back the Knight Assailant, you can do this forever. And no one plays it.
Yeah, because as it turns out, speed duel is just not really a format where being able to go infinite on board breaking is actually that relevant, I think, especially at the cost of having to run such dead cards as Knight Assailant in a deck that really doesn't want to be drawing what's effectively Man-Eater Bug most of the time.
It's hilarious. And then the final deck that I guess it would be remiss if we didn't mention, even though it is maybe slightly less powerful than these other three, is I'll just call it TP Warrior. It uses Twisted Personality, but the monsters that you play are pretty changeable. You can play a Warrior Engine, you can play 3 Blade Knight, 3 Breaker, and nothing else. Basically just a slow control deck that tries to get maybe 2 removal spells off of Twisted Personality.
I mean, it's effectively just sort of the current format's version of that good stuff deck that once upon a time completely dominated the format.
Yep.
And it just sort of picks Twisted Personality because it's the skill that gives you the most like direct card advantage, right?
And you get to leverage some pretty cool cards because of it. Like your Zomas become way better. Your opponent's Cosmics become way worse. Nightmare Wheel is a super powerful card that no deck but this is playing because it's kind of bad unless you are plussing off of the life point loss. So it's just a really good, fun control deck that incidentally gets to play Blade Knight.
And I think that it's really sort of like the good place that I would want this kind of good stuff deck to sit in, right? And I think that it's looking like the deck probably won't hugely change and take over the meta again. I could be wrong, but I'm not necessarily seeing that be the direction that Speed Duels is moving towards, of having like this kind of generic-y warrior control deck take over again.
For sure. And for what it's worth, every one of these decks has massive game against each other. There's like one bad union matchup, but everything else is at least close. And there are decks under this, of course, as well, too. There's like a magnet deck that's around. There's Ratbox, which is just a black Stego control deck. There's mix and match even among these lists. The format is really diverse, and it's really cool.
Now, going from that, the format will hopefully stay diverse as we get our big new product in another, 5 months now, roughly?
They say 5 months. I believe it will be more than that, given how they have been pushing back stuff. But this is what we're talking about today, the Speed Duel GX Duel Academy box.
Effectively, we don't know a huge amount about it, right?
Right.
I think right now what we know is the price, which is the same as Battle City box, right? Or the MSRP at least.
Mm-hmm.
The general information suggests it's going to be more or less the same structure as the Battle City box, but with GX instead of Battle City.
Right.
And we have some idea of what I would say around 7 of the 8 characters that are going to get precons likely are going to be within that box.
Yeah, I'll just read out the press release we got. It says, prepare to get your game on with the new Speed Duel GX Duel Academy box. Just like the popular Speed Duel Battle City box, it's designed to allow 8 players to jump into their own dynamic tournament experience and includes a static pool of around 200 cards to construct various popular strategies from, most of which are brand new to Speed Duel. Here are just a few of the things you can look forward to in the new box. Brand new skill cards introduce legendary duelists from the GX anime to Speed Duel, become an elemental hero enthusiast, Jaden Yuki, fulfill your destiny as Aster Phoenix, teach the class a lesson as Dr. Crowler, and more. Heaps of new cards for Speed Duel to add to decks you already have, or discover new strategies to try out. Duel in style with secret rare variants of popular GX era cards, and more. And that's it. That's all we have.
Yeah, we have that, and then we have some box art. I think
Yeah.
we have, I believe, 2 box arts and then a divider from inside the box that I believe was leaked.
I
Something
think
like
it
that.
came with the original press release. So we have a guarantee that it will include Cyrus and Alexis as characters. It will include the cards Shining Flare Wingman, Flame Wingman, Ancient Gear Golem, and Destiny Hero Dreadmaster. And then the newest render, which looks like the actual art they're going for, we've color matched to the top and found Crowler, Axel, Brody, and Jesse. So that's all that we know about this box.
So yeah, so just to be clear, that's, I believe, 7 of 8 characters that we know. So that only really leaves sort of like one mystery deck, which most likely I think will be either Chaz or Zane.
I would be shocked if it isn't Chaz.
Yeah, it probably will be Chaz, but since Zane isn't one of the characters, I could also see it be Zane just because of how popular Zane is as a character.
Now, for all of you
who knows,
Zane enthusiasts, Crocodile Cook enthusiasts, first off, haven't you gotten enough? Come on. But second off, these characters still might be represented in the box the same way like Mai was in the Battle City box. They'll just be like, oh, here's a skill with this character on it. Here's one of their cards. Like, I could see us getting not necessarily like the Cyber Darks and like the Laser Dragon and shit, but like Cyber Dragon plus a Zane skill.
Yeah, I think that regular Cyber Dragon seems pretty likely to be in the box, regardless of whether Zane is a whole precon or whether he's just sort of like a cameo. And I don't necessarily know that Cyber Dragon will really have like a huge impact on Speed Duels as a meta, just because of the way the format is, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, this card was hugely influential in TCG, of course, really changed design philosophy forever. But for Speed Duels, I mean, we're way past it. Like, the same way Cyber Dragon didn't do anything when it showed up in Duel Links, it's not going to do anything if it shows up here. Speed Duel is so speedy, and you get so much advantage so quick. If you lose the die roll and open Cyber Dragon, you have now lost the game. Like, there's nothing you can do. You're just down a card. And
yeah, I think that just like smaller hand sizes, smaller field sizes, lower life point totals, there being plenty of other ways for you to get into Monarch type monsters. I just don't see Cyber Dragon having the same place that it had in TCG for probably like the 3 or 4 years that it was the card to beat.
Yeah, for sure. But I guess let's go into our expectations then. I mean, is there anything else you think is a must play in here? Like, what do you think is going to be printed 100%?
Well, I mean, I guess we can just sort of go down the line on characters. For Jaden, I think obviously they're going to do probably a focus on like the named material elemental hero fusions from the anime, right?
Yeah.
I think
like
obviously we already have
with
Wingman.
What? Clayman, Burstinatrix, Avian,
Sparkman,
Bubbleman.
And we'll probably get like Wild Heart, which maybe could be teched in Warrior decks. It's immune to traps. It was somewhat relevant in like Fringe decks during GX and TCG. I could see it.
So it could be.
But,
traps are of course very good, but Speed Duel's weird in that like the best cards are like Book of Moon and like
yeah, for sure.
Offering to the Doomed and a bunch of stuff that does kill Wild Heart.
But we'll have to see if there's better traps that come through in GX, although that's not necessarily super likely, since I feel like when I think back on stuff that was in both the anime and the TCG during GX, I'm not thinking of a lot of like really cool new traps they were releasing exactly. It wasn't much of a focus. It was much more like monsters and spells. Traps
I would expect to
pretty
see
much
like
just the same as DM.
Some of the, well, we'll get to Aster, I guess. But yeah, I would expect to see most of that. And of course, Shining Flare Wingman is in it as well. Maybe a skill that like miracle fusions, like in Duel Links.
No, I think Neospatians are a lot more the interesting side of Jaden, because I think that the hero stuff, I don't see them doing masked heroes in Speed Duels.
Absolutely
unlike,
not.
I would hope they don't do masked heroes in Speed Duels. Which means that elemental heroes are probably going to be bad or maybe
terrible.
Like casual playable, right? They're probably going to be really bad, depending on how pushed their skill is, but the skill has to be really pushed to salvage them. Now, Neospatians, on the other hand, could actually be quite good.
They're
Because
great.
there are some...
Neos Fusion, of course, is a really strong card. In Duel Links, there are many skills that start you with Neospace on your side of the field. There is a rich tapestry of fusion monsters that are actually crazy strong in that archetype, including Brave, which would be a sick add. Probably a little too strong, honestly. But
even Neos Knight would be pretty good, honestly.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see how it ends up.
And then obviously we've got Grand Mole, which I think is pretty much a shoo-in to go in the box, and I think that will be a really relevant, like, generic card.
You don't think it's too good? I guess not.
I don't
There's
know.
all this removal.
There's a lot of removal, right? And I think that there's a lot of other good normal summon type monsters like Breaker and whatnot. I wouldn't be... I think that it might not make it in, but I wouldn't be surprised in any way to see Grand Mole make it into the box. So I think going from there... Obviously, we got Aster. I think it's important to talk about Aster because D heroes are so synonymous with the GX era, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of D heroes that we could play. Certainly, I'm most excited about the traps. I think we're going to get D counter, D shield, D chain, and I think all of those are going to be extremely playable. I don't know what D heroes I would want to see. Probably like Celestial...
I think Diamond Dude is sort of
Diamond
a given,
Dude, yeah.
Beyond that, I think it's a little rough. I think that...
There's not a ton of really good ones.
I mean, I think that there are some really good ones. I think that Dasher will probably make it in and is not a bad card by any stretch of the imagination.
Same with Decider. It's like okay, and people did play it in Duel Links. But like from there, you diverge between Destiny heroes that are crazy strong, like Malicious, and Destiny heroes that are dog water, like Captain Tenacious.
Yeah, or Double Dude.
Hell yeah. And what frightens me is the Dreadmaster on one of these covers makes me think we will be getting Clock Tower Prison, which is such an exceptionally boring card, both to play with and against.
Now, I almost think that they might be doing Clock Tower Prison as a skill and not as a card.
Oh, that's a good idea because the card is really not okay.
Because I think that both balances it being used only as some kind of stall piece, and also if you actually want to summon Dreadmaster makes it probably less terrible, but that is something we'll have to see how it plays. I do worry, along with you, that Clock Tower Prison has a high chance of potentially pushing us back into there being a really good, like, do-nothing stall deck in the format, which doesn't really exist right now. Do you think they'll add Destiny Draw?
God, I hope not. Jesus Christ, I hope not. That card is... Even with just Decider, that card is crazy.
Because I think that if they don't add Destiny Draw, I could almost see them adding Malicious, and it being very good, but not anywhere near as game-breaking as it's been in any other format, really.
But
I could be wrong on that.
I think they're going to print Fusion Destiny. I think they will
print... For what Fusion, though?
All right, you ready? I'm just going to read out the fusions. Dangerous. Maybe? Oh my god, that's the only safe one. Wow, even Destiny and Dragoon is crazy. Every other Destiny hero fusion is balls to the wall nuts.
Because Destiny and Dragoon would be like the Red Eyes Dark Dragoon of speed duels.
Yeah.
In terms of requiring you run two terrible cards, but it would just be absolutely bonkers if you ever summon it. Because it actually loops itself back, right? So it gets around the drawback of Fusion Destiny. And then, because just for reference, Fusion Destiny destroys the monster it summons in the end phase of the next turn after it's summoned, I believe. But during your standby phase, you can just banish another Destiny hero and resummon Destiny and Dragoon, which was properly summoned, and you're good. So
yeah, I'm running through them. I'm like, Dusktopia is just too much text. It's too hard. Dragoon is unkillable. Dominance is a joke. Dystopia, if you didn't print the one that increases attack, might be fine, but it also burns you for 16 in the 4,000 life point format. Like, probably not okay.
I feel like that kind of thing is probably not okay because, to my knowledge, they're not doing the Duel Links like errata burn in half thing, right? Because they're making sure the cards are all TCG legal as well. So I don't see that I hope that doesn't happen, right?
Right.
In which case, if they did print Fusion Destiny, it would basically be for exactly Dangerous, and that's it. Which would be fine, I think.
But
I
kind of
guess.
boring.
Yeah, no, it would not be very thrilling. I just don't necessarily think they'll print it.
Yeah.
Just because Aster was never really very fusion focused in the anime.
All of
Also,
the
that
Destiny
requires
Hero
them to
fusions are
print.
legacy, yeah.
That also does bring up the question of, do you think they're going to print Plasma?
Yes.
And would
I
it
think
even
Plasma's
be
a shoe.
good?
I think Plasma would be good if Malicious is legal and D-Draw is legal.
That's
but
fair, yeah.
maybe not otherwise.
Because with
like Plasma's good
without
in,
those, it's very difficult to summon.
Plasma's good in TCG and like has been okay in some formats because everyone's activating monster effects, but like it dies to book. So how good is it really?
Yeah, and I mean it even just dies to like inner conflict. You just steal it and tribute over it, right?
Nice Plasma, I'll take it. All right, Dark Ruler Hades, good game.
Yeah.
How about Crowler? I guess we're getting the ancient gears, right? It's just going to be
Yeah,
Golem Turbo.
I feel like ancient gears are not particularly exciting.
Very boring. I imagine we'll get the
They
skill
don't
from Duel Links
do
where they
anything.
start with Castle set.
Yeah, I just don't really feel like ancient gears do a lot. Their sort of like shared effect is that they're like a baby Armades on attack.
The one thing that's going to
Whatever,
frustrate me
right?
about this is like it means that people are going to lose because when their opponent goes to battle phase, they don't say as you enter battle instead of in response to your attack, and it's going to cause annoying judge calls.
Yeah, but I don't think that it'll be super. My theory is it probably won't be supremely relevant.
Yeah.
I just even
There's
like
only
the newer
one
ancient
thing this
gear
deck
stuff.
does.
I mean, it's like what maybe some of the newer stuff because that's the thing though is that a lot of the ancient gear support is weirdly synergistic with the gadgets, right? Because outside of their whole can't activate spells and traps until end of damage step, the only other thing they really do is support the gadget cards like red, yellow, green gadget. So I do wonder, will they put gadgets in the box? Because
I think gadgets
them before.
I think they're a shoo-in. Like obviously they weren't in for Yugi, but Yugi doesn't use them until like the final duel, really. And I think they're a shoo-in. People love the gadgets.
Yeah.
They remember the gadgets from GX era Yu-Gi-Oh. I would not be surprised if like there was a gadget related skill with Crowler's face on it, and that was how, you know, our friend becomes meta relevant.
Yeah, I could see that being the case, and even outside of a gadget related skill, I could just see the gadgets being good just because they're sort of like dudes that generate constant value, although I'm not sure that's something that a lot of decks need to be doing right now, especially since it's pretty empty value. But
what about Cyrus?
So,
what are we getting for Cyrus?
So I think what we have to get, and hopefully they've worked out their dispute with NASA.
Let's go. Say it.
Shuttle roid import.
Yes!
After what, 15 years?
I think the
it's been
longest
so long.
non-OCG vanilla like season 1 bullshit card, longest time since OCG print and NA print. We still don't have Shuttle Roid. Give us the boy.
Because I feel like since Shuttle Roid was printed, NASA stopped launching shuttles.
Right. It's been so long. The card has outlasted the space shuttle program. Like at this point, come on.
And like, what are they going to... It doesn't... I don't think Shuttle Roid looks anything like whatever these rockets SpaceX is blowing up. Right. So...
Well, I will say...
we could get Shuttle Roid.
Shuttle Roid might be copyrighted by Elon Musk because when it's targeted for an attack, it blows itself up. And that is pretty similar to...
You're right. We could rename it to Elon Roid.
Yeah.
Think about it.
No, I think we'll get the roids. I would like to see the legacy roids. The roids are so goddamn bad.
Except for exactly Drill Roid, which I think is
Drill Roid
actually pretty...
Yeah, it's not only going to be good, it's going to be crazy. Like...
Yeah, in a format like Speed Duels that's still relatively battle-based and has a lot of battle interaction, being able to kill face downs without them flipping is pretty good.
Oh, it's crazy. And there's so many recruiters. I mean, people are playing Blade Knight. Like, Drill Roid in many ways is better than Blade Knight.
Oh, in a lot of the situations you actually want Blade Knight's effect for, instead of just using it as a beater, Drill Roid, I think, outperforms it all the way. Right.
The unfortunate truth is, outside of Drill Roid, these are bad cards.
The roids are terrible.
We do have
Legacy
Vehicle Roid
or-
Connection Zone, which is a really strong card. And I think the 3000 attack Fusion is really good. But nothing else is even remotely playable.
Yeah, it's rough, because that's the thing is that, see, Vehicle Connection Zone reads as a good card, but it only summons the really, really hungry fusion monsters. Jumbo Droroid, Stealth Union Roid, and Mobile Base.
I don't think we're
Right.
getting Stealth Union. It's so
Are we
new.
not? Stealth Union is terrible.
I guess that's
Stealth
fair.
Union is very old. It's
Really?
from Gladiator's Assault. Yeah.
Oh, I assumed
the one
that...
you're thinking of is Mobile Base, I believe.
Yeah.
That it looks exactly like Stealth Union, but has like relatively normal fusion requirements.
Oh, 2 materials instead of 7 very specific ones.
Yeah, it's like 2 relatively generic materials as opposed to 3 named materials, or Stealth Union 4 named materials. I think that Cyrus is going to be really bad outside of exactly Droroid, nothing else.
I would be surprised if like they print Future Fusion and maybe Super Vehicroid Jumbo Drill is playable, but that's such a corner case.
Yeah, and even then I imagine that Future Fusion's better used pretty much anywhere else.
Yeah.
Like, there's other fusion monsters I would much rather be future fusing for than Jumbo Drill.
Yeah. Alexis is a weird one. So Alexis has two support archetypes. She's got like the Cyber Blader stuff, right?
Yeah, which doesn't really... It's not really coherent, and they've never really done any legacy support for it, so I don't really...
expect it.
Know what they would do with that, right? I mean, I'm sure they'll print it, but it's like 3 cards, and there's nothing to do with it, right?
Well, unfortunately, the other thing she could do is play Cyber Angel, which is... It has now ruined the TCG. It really ruined Duel Links. I mean, you really can't print in any of these cards.
Yeah, I think that the Duel Links is the biggest indicator, because I think that when Cyber Angels was printed into Duel Links, the power level of Duel Links was a lot closer to where Speed Duels is right now. Right. Maybe a little bit above in certain areas and below in others, but they did not print a lot. They did just like Dakini and Idatan. That was pretty much it.
Yeah. And I think they had a Petite Angel as well, but like in Speed Duels, it doesn't actually matter if they have Petite Angel or not, because we already have Sonic Bird Senju.
Senju and Sonic Bird are enough, right?
Yeah, they're crazy.
And that's all that really matters, especially when decks are so small. You don't need that huge of a consistency boost to make it work. I mean, Relinquished was something in early Speed Duels, right? And that's a lot worse than Cyber Angels.
Cyber Angels, of course, have a multitude of problems, but most of them are there's no hard once per turn on any of their cards. And like, even isolating individual cards, like, I can't imagine they put even Itaden in. That card could be so crazy under the right circumstances.
I mean, I think the big thing is that specifically Benten and Itaden both have a pretty decent on summon effect and a pretty decent effect when they're tributed for something else with a decent on summon effect, right?
Right.
So it's, like Ben 10, obviously, I really hope they don't print, since it's, a non once per turn search. That's crazy. Ida 10, I believe, buffs when you tribute it and searches when you summon it.
Yeah.
And then Dakini pops things on the board, and then all the other ones are pretty crazy.
No, Dakini's a no-go. You can't even pretend that they'll print Dakini. They will not make that mistake again.
Yeah, the only other ones are like the weird level ones, like Natasha and Vrash.
So Natasha is crazy. A flagship card in Drytron before people figured out they could just not play this card. It's multiple mind controls. Like, this card is unreal. Vrash is, if this card is ritual summoned, you can destroy as many face-up monsters your opponent controls as possible that were specialed from the extra deck, inflict 1,000 to your opponent for each one, and it can make a second attack during each battle phase. When a card or effect is activated that would destroy a card on the field, shuffle a ritual monster from your grave back into the deck, and then negate and destroy it. Like, that's insane.
Yeah, honestly, the thing that made it good in... Yeah, I feel like the thing that made Vrash good in TCG was the extra deck Rayehi, but, that is not really that relevant. Just being like a 3K that protects, and then if you happen to be playing any of the decks of fusions, you're boned and you just lose, right?
I think Izana is maybe likely. like Dakini, it sends, but it sends a spell trap, and then it has the same kind of protection as Vrash, except it doesn't negate the activation. It just lets you trade for a card on your opponent's side of the field. So I could see Izana coming, but it would still be like the best card by a country mile.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I just think they're all so strong, right?
Yeah.
Because does Izana search as well in the end step? Because I feel like that's really the backbreaking part about Dakini, is it not only pops something, but it also pluses you in the end step.
Izana does
right.
not.
I think that is probably the main argument for it being the only like reasonable Cyber Angel to print, but I think realistically they're going to print more than that unless they do the Speed Duel Nightmare Sonic Blast Classic and do like a they go full in on Cyber Blader.
Okay, so how about Jessie? Now Jessie is the gemstone guy.
It's Crystal Beasts, right?
So what are we doing about that? Speed Duel is the same as Duel Links in that like you want to play Crystal Beasts with like Rainbow Ruins and shit, and you want to make use of their really powerful cards like Abundance, but you've got 3 zones, so it's not reasonable that you'd ever even summon Rainbow Dragon or activate any of their power cards. What's the play?
I mean, there's definitely going to be a Rainbow Dragon skill. That's 100% going to happen. Like, I will eat my socks if there's not a Rainbow Dragon skill in Rainbow Dragon. People love Rainbow Dragon.
Mm-hmm.
That's just going to happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Beyond that, I have no idea what they're going to do with it. I don't know. I just don't think it's going to be very good.
In Duel Links, at least, they have a multitude of skills specifically designed to help Crystal Beasts. But outside of Neshi exactly, no one has ever seen success with it. They have Pegasus, they have Carbuncle, they have everything, but 3 zones, man, it's just crazy.
Yeah, I think it's just tough, right?
Yep.
When Crystal Beast is an archetype so specifically designed around the standard Yu-Gi-Oh field size that it just doesn't really scale down very well without some like really weird workarounds. And even in that field size, it's still pretty bad. So
I've heard a lot of people saying that like this is their opportunity to print Zenith and that would save it. And to those people I say, keep huffing. There is not enough copium in the world. You got to get it in right now. Let's talk about what we're really here for though.
Okay.
Axel
Birdie.
Conan O'Brien. He is he's coming. We have color matched the top of this box, and if the render is to be believed, we will be getting Axel. You're right. You got it, Payne. You memed it into existence. We are getting volcanic cards. What the fuck are we doing with this guy?
Well, I mean, there's not a huge amount of volcanic cards, right?
No.
That are any good, at least, right? I think Shell is...
Excuse me, what
Shell
the fuck? Are you talking shit on Volcanic Slicer?
Yes, I am. But, I mean, you got Volcanic Shell, right? I feel like Volcanic Shell has seen play in all kinds of formats throughout Yu-Gi-Oh's history as just, like, a cool repeated discard outlet because it adds itself back to hand, right? You search another copy. I could see that maybe being used somewhere. I don't know where they would use it. You got Scattershot, which without the continuous trap, try Blaze Accelerator Reload.
Blaze Accelerator.
I don't see that. Yeah, I don't see that being any good with just the continuous spell accelerator, which I would assume is all they're going to print. I think that Reload is probably way too strong for speed duels.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think I can say definitively there's one card they won't put, and that's Blaze Accelerator Reload. This card is, I mean, far and away the strongest thing in speed duels if they print it. Unfortunately, you are 100% correct. Without Blaze Accelerator Reload, there's no reason to print Scattershot. Like, they might anyway, but...
No, they probably will, but...
What are you getting out of a Scattershot that you wouldn't get out of 3 shell activations against the 3 material board? Like, quite literally nothing.
Now, here's the actual thing, right, is... Just to confirm, Battle City box was like a Highlander box, right? It didn't have multiple copies of any individual card in it.
I think it had some multiples.
Yeah, because looking through it looks like it was all one-ofs. Yeah. So assuming that
Really?
they do a similar thing, I think that that does limit which volcanics they will print. I think Shell they can put 2 of in, similar to what they did in, I believe, the Salamangreat structure deck.
Right. With
Um,
like double Balinks or
because it
something.
still works with 2, right?
Right.
Like you can still search it once. Scattershot does not work with 2. You need 3 for it to do anything,
Right.
really. So maybe they'll do that in like a classic Konami move to make you want to buy 3 copies of the box. But chances are, with not without reload, I just don't know why they would print it. Right.
Right. I mean, I
And at
can
that
just
point,
yeah, go ahead.
oh no, you go.
I can just give you the rundown of what we're likely to see. This character is already in Duel Links, and I think they've exhausted his entire design space. We'll get Volcanic Rocket, I think, and that'll be like the payoff for playing the deck. A Gemini Elf that pluses you. We'll get a skill that adds a volcanic or a blaze accelerator from your deck to your hand. We will get a skill that treats a blaze accelerator as a tri-blaze accelerator for the purposes of like Doomfire, which I would imagine we get. And other than that, we're just going to get a bunch of crap like Blaster, Slicer, Hammerer. Queen might show up in some sideboards as a better kaiju than Santa Claus, but even then I don't really
Even
believe
that's
that.
it's iffy. I feel like Santa Claus is actually better a lot of the time, but it's debatable, right? I think it's going
Like
to be
the
pretty
1,000
fringe.
damage actually probably matters with Volcanic Queen.
Actually, that's true. If they even print Volcanic Queen at that rate, though.
Right.
I think if anything gets done with Volcanics, it would be like some kind of weird burn thing, since they're not going to be having the damage numbers. That's like the big difference from Duel Links, right?
We had Volcanics prior to the burn having, and it didn't do anything.
I mean, that's fair.
I guess
Yeah,
the
I
power
mean, I
level
feel
was
like
a little higher, but still.
yeah, and there was better, and they printed other better burn tools already, but
I guess what we're
which
saying
Speed Duels just
is,
doesn't really have.
like this is the time for them to print the legacy Volcanic support, right? This is where we get the new Volcanics.
Do they? Is there even like? What is the new Volcanic support?
What would happen? Where's our Zenith? What's the Volcanic Slicer Zenith? What does that look like?
Because they haven't actually print. The only new Volcanic support they've printed is Reload, right? And that was like 6 years ago.
Oh my god,
Because
it
they
was. Okay, so I'm
Because they're
looking at
not
the.
going to be printing. I don't. They don't print brand new cards usually in
They haven't
these
yet.
Speed Duel products. I don't see them starting very honestly.
All right, here's what we
with
could
this.
get. Volcanic Armor. Oh my god, this card is so good. A continuous trap. When a pyro you control is sent to the graveyard, inflict 500 damage to your opponent. Crazy. Volcanic Force. Activate only by sending one face-up Tri-Blaze Accelerator from your side of the field to the graveyard. I can just stop reading here. Volcanic Mine. Summon as many bomb tokens as possible to your opponent's side of the field in defense position. Yep, we are not printing Ojama King. And Volcanic Wall. Once per turn, send the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard to inflict 500 to your opponent for each Pyro-type monster sent to the graveyard. This way, you can't declare an attack the turn you use this card's effect. None of these are even remotely playable.
Nope. I think that it's just a weird pick to put Axel in the box, I think, because the bulk of Volcanic cards are really, really bad. And the tiny
service.
handful that are any good are too good.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. It just stings.
I guess the real question beyond all the characters is what non-character cards do we think we're going to get? Because last time we got, I would say, some like GOAT era favorites like Breaker, Kaiku.
So
stuff like that. Apprentice Magician.
The GOAT players liked the last set enough that I think they are going to try and cater to the same audience. I think we'll get some high rarity reprints from like Lost Millennium, which I believe is the only GX set that is legal in GOAT. Like Brain Control is an obvious secret. And I think we might get Brain Control because we already have IC. Like Brain Control is
well, especially that's the thing, right, is that I don't know how deeply that will appeal to GOAT players since they gave it a functional errata.
Oh,
right?
that's a good
And
point.
I think the Funkarana would make it more balanced in speed duels. I think it would actually be fine for the most part. But like,
also would turn off the players who would want it for high rarity stuff.
yeah, I don't think it would really be super appealing to GOAT players since it's not the right text for GOAT at all. Right? It's not just like, oh, it's more up-to-date coherent wording. It's a completely different effect.
Yeah.
Um,
I think there are some
I think they could do the
hits.
Monarchs.
Yeah. I was going to say the Monarchs seem like an obvious one. I'm not going to try and pretend like Reaper format will drive the secrets, but certainly there are a class of players who like the cards from that era. And the Monarchs are like first on that list. I would be shocked if we
Monarchs
didn't get
are
like...
fringe playable in GOAT as well, right? So it's not like they're
Yeah.
completely foreign to GOAT players. Like, they came out and are legal in GOAT, and there are people who play like Mobius and Thestalos and Zaborg and GOATs.
I think Mobius might be a little strong for speed duels, but if they're pushing the envelope, they might do it.
Yeah, I could see it happening. I mean, I think the real ones that they shouldn't put in are Ryza and Caius more than anything, right?
If they put Ryza in, it is going to be a disaster. Like, that card is just incredible.
Especially since Inner Conflict is a skill that exists.
I see Ryza the last card on your board. Good luck. That's terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, and the same sort of goes for Caius.
The vanilla heroes, I think, are easy secrets. I think we might get... Do we have Reaper already? Because if we don't, that seems like a good get.
We don't, no. Yeah, and I think Reaper wouldn't be super crazy in the format, honestly.
No, yeah, for sure.
Now something that I'm going to ask, do we think they're going to print Card Trooper? And will it be any good?
Wow.
Because Card Trooper is a GX
To
card.
answer your first question, will it be any good? Yes, it will be very good.
Like, are they going to put in Troop Dupe? Because I would like to see Troop Dupe.
See, that's the second question. Are they going to print Card Trooper? I think is almost assuredly. Is it going to be good? Yes. Will they print Machine Duplication? Because, like, isn't it a...
Machine...
Because, like, it helps Ancient Gear. It helps the Sidra deck. It could happen.
And also Machine Dupe is the kind of thing where it's a high rarity reprint that TCG players invariably may want, since Machine Dupe always comes in and out of...
It's okay, yeah.
At least fringe TCG playability, right?
Oh, man,
Just because it's a crazy card. I could see Machine Dupe going in.
Oh, could you imagine Troop Dupe format? Oh, and next box they print Dandy. Let's go.
Oh, jeez.
But we're in a position where, like...
I'm pretty sure Dandelion was a GX card. It just wasn't good.
It's bad. The problem is, like, Troop Dupe Scoop is a little less good when you don't have crap to put in the graveyard.
Yeah.
I would be unsurprised to see crap to put in the graveyard. For instance, Necro Gardna might show up here. Is that a GX card?
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, it came out during GX.
And that would be really strong, especially in the dark decks that are already doing well. Just turn one, set Necro.
Speaking of the dark decks, there's one card I think that everyone thinks of with GX.
No.
Will they put Dad in? Will they put Dad in?
They're not going to fucking put Dad in. Dad
will they put any... No, will they put any of the dark cards, like Dark Lord Zerato, maybe? Or Dark Nephthys?
I think they will fuck up and put one of the worse dark cards in, like Dark Creator, and, like, it will be meta-warpingly strong.
Yeah, I think... For example, if they did put in Dark Lord Zerato, that would be absolutely bonkers and would make like a Dark Narc deck probably the best deck in the format. Do we think they're going to put Pot of Avarice in, and would that even be relevant?
Avarice is
Jar of Avarice forever, right?
Slow. Jar of Avarice was only ever good to prevent you from
the
dying.
Deck out format, yeah.
If Jar of Avarice read "Don't draw a card," it would have been better.
Yeah, I could see them printing it just because it's sort of like a nostalgic card that people might want at Secret, but yeah, it probably wouldn't be very good.
Some fun stuff that I think they could print that would be really strong. Hydro Get-On would be really good.
Yeah, I think that's almost definitely going to go in as like the Bastion rep.
And you know, it will be good. Dawn Zalug is already out, but could use a reprint very badly, and he's like a character in GX, right?
Yeah, he is. He's one of the various, like, whatever. Yeah, I mean, because they did say that they're not all brand new cards, so I could see Dawn Zalug being a reprint.
I would like to see Rescue Cat personally.
I do wonder if they will print Gravekeeper's Spy.
Oh, Spy would be so strong. Spy would be
because
out of this world.
Gravekeepers have been a thing in speed duels, not anymore, right? But
Right.
they were once upon a time, and the Gravekeepers, much like Don Zaluk, were like real characters.
They were
in
like
season
people.
1 of GX. They were like people characters in season 1 of GX.
Well, Spy would upend the format, and if we are already scared of Monarch being a little too strong, boy oh boy would that help.
Yeah, for sure, because it would be sort of like Apprentice Magician, but with an actual defense stat, which is really relevant. Although, at the same time, I do think that the addition of roid will help a little with that at least.
Right.
But only a little. Now, do we think they're going to print Treeborn Frog? I think that's a way more relevant card that would determine if Monarch gets too good than anything else.
Using the knowledge I have from Reaper, I can say there is no single card they could print that would have more of an impact on the format than Treeborn Frog. I'm pretty sure.
Oh no, I believe you there. I mean,
however,
Treeborn Frog was like a meta-defining card for years in TCG.
I think it's not bad. Like, I think it is pretty arguable if the card can or cannot be there. The difference between like TCG and Speed Duel is that Treeborn Frog like needs you to have an empty back row, and Speed Duel is all about back row. So like, are you willing to give up like Book of Moon, Zoma the Spirit, like all these really crazy spell traps to play Treeborn? And I think the answer is like, maybe. It would definitely change the way the game is played for sure.
Things like Book of Moon is not stuck to your back row, and Zoma, I believe, with the more modern rulings, isn't treated as a trap once it leaves the zone, right? I believe that was part of Master Rule 2020, so that slightly lets you get around it, but things like Floodgate Trap Hole or whatever can stay glued to your back row for a while.
Right. I would like to see Cyber Phoenix show up in this.
Yeah, definitely.
Sick card. I would like to see Snipe Hunter.
So everyone can start losing their die rolls.
Yeah, realistically, I would not like to see Snipe Hunter. Please do not print that.
I almost think that they might just not put Snipe Hunter in, just to not put any dice cards in.
It so
fucking
fucking feels bad.
Into the box.
It so feels bad.
Oh, absolutely it is. But yeah, I think other than that, I'm not really sure what they would print that came out. Because a lot of GX was pretty bad.
Yeah.
All things considered.
And all the decks that were playable around that time are like Teledad for 9 months, Lightsworn, which is just abysmal and can't be represented in
even
the
both of
Duelist
those are
Alliance
like
box.
the very end of GX and
Yeah.
really weren't even good till 5Ds for the most part. I mean, when you're really talking GX decks, it was like Monarchs for several years, and then Destiny Hero, which is just another variant of Monarchs, and then like Gladiator Beast, Stallburn,
God, miserable
zombies. It was not a huge variety of things. I mean, you had some like machine combos and stuff, but I think that a lot of it's really going to be dependent on what the skills they print are. So I think it's hard to really predict just based off of cards we have a good feeling are going to be in it without knowing how they design the skills, because that's really hard to predict.
Mm-hmm. Well, I suppose that's it. Meep, I guess I'll see you in another 2 years when we get another piece of product.
Pretty much. Hopefully we can get back together when they actually give us skills, but who knows when that's going to be.
Literally never.
My guess is probably not until like next year.
Yeah, vote on your phones now. Which is going to come out first? The box or the end of COVID? I think the two are pretty intertwined, to be honest.
Yeah. So probably in a few years then.
Regardless, I am happy that they are taking an interest in the format. I'm glad that they're recognizing that if they make the right product, it's actually a lot of fun and a lot of people enjoy it. And I am excited, honestly. We're ragging on it a little, but I do want to know what comes out of this.
For sure. I think I'm really excited that they finally switched over to like the best product format that they've ever done in Yu-Gi-Oh!
Mm-hmm.
You know? Like, it's a fixed set of really good cards. There's still a bit of that gotcha element to pull in the whales with, like, whatever the hollows for the other formats. But then for your casual players, you can just buy it and actually play the game. Just something I feel like people have gotten detached from in a lot of ways due to how prohibitively expensive and not useful so many cards in so many of their like normal standard TCG releases are for the past like 7 or 8 years now.
Mm-hmm. Well, any parting thoughts before we leave it in the hands of our glorious Konamic overlords?
Hopefully Zane gets in the box and Moki Moki did nothing wrong. That's really all I have to say.
I would echo that. I would say, yeah, whatever.